876 Dream. Bless up.
So, UEFA holds its breath as two of its nations compete, while CONCACAF as well has one last roll of the dice to see if two teams can be in the last 16 of the tournament. All of this and more in this, now streaming Qatar.
Bless up.
So, 23 teams are left in the greatest show on earth. Qatar are out. So is Canada, Ecuador, Wales, Iran, Tunisia, Denmark, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. The teams that will make in progress to the last 16: France, Brazil, Portugal, the Netherlands, Senegal, England, the United States, Argentina, and surprise package, the Socceroos of Australia. Group F will take the center stage for the next 45 minutes or so. F for fun, because this is a group that has had its surprises as well. Two teams that were highly placed at the last tournament will go in fight of perhaps one of two spots. Runners-up of 2018 against the bronze medal winners of 2018 as well. Croatia against Belgium. Canada of CONCACAF, their last roll of the dice as well. They got their first goal at the World Cup quite recently. Can they get their first point or even first win? All of this will be revealed over the next few hours or so. And Group E as well. A lot of action to take center stage today and history to be made in the Germany versus Costa Rica game as the first female to officiate at a World Cup, in the men's World Cup that is, will be standing in the middle today. We'll discuss all of these and more over the next 45 minutes or so. Let me introduce you to the panel that we have for the next hour or so. We have the lads from This or That Sports TV with us. Rush and Jomar with us. Rush to my immediate right and Jomar to my far right. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Doing good so far. Thanks for having us. Always a vibe, so glad we're passing through today.
Most definitely. Jomar, the World Cup.
Sports fans, welcome back to, well, this is not This or That Sports TV, this is 876 Stream. We already know we're here to talk some football, and as it relates to how I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm about to watch World Cup football. So
Yeah.
how can you have a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the same page with you. Jomar, let me start with you. How are you enjoying the tournament so far? We've seen the upsets, the surprises. How are you enjoying things?
It's been a very exciting World Cup. I'm still saddened, and I will always say that Eternal Father has not been played at the World Cup, in my lifetime. But this World Cup has been very exciting. It's been one of the most exciting ones that I've experienced. I've watched most of the games. Fighting to stay awake in a few, considering that they start so early. But I've kept abreast with the results and I've watched most of the games, and I've been very impressed with the football. The results have been surprising, and that's always exciting, especially when you don't necessarily have a horse in the race. Chaos is a ladder. Isn't it?
And same for you as well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. The thing is, you're always going to see some flops in the World Cup, but you're always going to see some surprise teams.
Yeah.
In this World Cup, I guess the surprise teams are Australia doing well. A lot of people didn't predict Poland to come out of the group, and they're doing well. So I must say, I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to some more upsets though. And this could be a group, Group E that is, could be a group where we see some more. And I have to talk about Jamaica and Reggae Boys.
Yeah.
This would be the group that we're in. We'll be playing today against Germany. So, these are the things that you think about when you're going to watch these games. And sadly, we can't stop ourselves.
Yeah.
But you spoke about surprises. If people have watched our video on This or That Sports TV show, or bracket video, where we did our brackets and we predicted who would advance to the finals and ultimately go on to win the World Cup. For the people who watched that video, they would have known that I had Denmark versus Argentina in the grand finale in a few weeks.
Yeah, round of 16.
And I had them in the final.
Oh, the final itself.
I had Denmark
Okay.
top in the zone.
Okay.
Yeah,
understood.
and going
Got
on
it.
to play
Yeah.
Poland and ending up
Wow.
in the finals playing Argentina. And I've been proven so wrong. Denmark being eliminated. What an embarrassing performance by a team that I thought would have put in a solid performance. So this has been a World Cup of surprise. It's been very enjoyable, and I can't wait to continue to watch.
Yeah, quite a bit to get through. And if you haven't already, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe to 876 Stream J. And of course to This or That Sports TV. Guys, I've been covering the Manning Cup from the first round to where we are right now at the climax of the competition. Before we get into the World Cup, gentlemen, you guys have doing some interviews with players, coaching staff members, everyone surrounding the schoolboy football season. Rush, let me start with you. The events of the weekend, Jamaican football fans just blew up. The videos of goals and everything. What was the atmosphere and everything surrounding, Dejan Whisper Williams and Richards rather, and everything surrounding, that moment and goals?
Man, it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
And most people in the stadium could not believe their eyes. Most people were in disbelief because we saw the first goal and we were like, that's crazy. Then we saw the second goal and we were like, oh my God, is this kid real? We saw the third and the fourth come. You couldn't predict it. It's a story. And I'm glad I'm witnessing it because I think he's in the debate for the best schoolboy footballer in Jamaica ever. Yeah, obviously there is a bit debate. There are a lot of athletes that we didn't see play. But definitely for the athletes that I've seen, I think Whisper is the best. And just that atmosphere in the stadium, man, dragging KC through to the finals, because I think they were outmatched in terms of talent against Clarendon College. But what he did for that school and that team, man, I don't think you'll see that very often.
Jomar?
What did I say? It was a madness.
It was a madness.
That's all it was, experiencing it live and direct, very close up. I could not believe my eyes. As a journalist, one should maintain professionalism and poise on site, and I did the complete opposite. I was, all over the running track, as I am when the likes of a Jamalo will score a goal or Ravel Morrison will bury an amazing free kick, when Leon Bailey would step up and convert a penalty. The same way I react to those occasions is the same way I reacted to that Dejan Richards' first strike. It was absolutely ridiculous. I think unequivocally the goal of the season for the whole schoolboy football competition. I don't think that has been matched, and I don't think it will match. In fact, I can't remember seeing a goal in any Manning Cup or the Costa Cup season that can match that one. So this kid is an outstanding talent, and one thing I have to say, we play Mexico in March in the Azteca, and I'm not saying he should get his first cap, but I think he should be on the plane. As Ricky Boy's coming through, right?
Yes, of course. You guys had the chance to talk to him after the game. Did he react in any way or say anything different in training that produced a sort of performance? What was his mood like? Was it laid back, calm, humility, humble? What was that like?
He was his usual self. The thing is, after the second goal, I went to the coach because we were on the sidelines most of the time. I went to the coach and I was like, Coach, what did you say to Whisper different today? Because you see some games when he's not all the way there, you would say he's playing at 70% or 50% or less than 50%. But today I saw that he was engaged. On that day, on the weekend, I saw that he was engaged. Now I saw that he was there, he was present in the moment. And I went to the coach, what did you tell him, coach? Raymond, so how did you get this out of Whisper? No, and he told him, now, a lot of people are doubting him. They're not sure if you're the best. This is what he said to him. This was the team talk, right?
A bit paraphrased.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
It's a bit more down to earth.
Yeah. Some of the things that he said I can't say on it. Right? He said, they're questioning you. Are you the best schoolboy footballer or not? They're not sure. Go out there and prove it to them. Show them that you are the best schoolboy footballer. Not in the Manning Cup. Not in the Champions League. Champions Cup, we're talking about the best schoolboy footballer ever. That's what he said to him. He got him riled up. He got him angry. And that's what we said. That's what happened after that. Those are good man managers. Coaches that can get the best out of their players and they know what buttons to press. Yeah. And that's the button that Raymond Watson pressed on Whisper on Saturday.
But you spoke about his reaction after the game. Simon, he's not new to scoring 4 goals in a Manning Cup game or in a schoolboy football game. Only recently he scored 5 against Jose Martis, getting 3 assists. And in a 9-0 win, the one goal that he didn't have a quote-unquote goal contribution in, it was off a rebound, off a header that he headed, and that's how his teammates scored the goal. I think it was Nashard Gibbs scoring the 9th goal. So he's been here and he's done that, and he said it in the interview, like, I've done this in England, I've done this in Germany, I've done this in the Colts,
leading the... This kid is special, Simon, and so, I think we should jump on the train.
So he never frightened, as Jamaican people would have said. He's been there and he's done that. And I think he personifies being here and done that as it relates to the schoolboy level.
And you guys can chime in for this as well. I would love to hear your views. What would be the next best step for him? Would it be Europe? Would it be one more season locally? Your general thoughts about the next step for him post schoolboy season 2022?
I think he's above the level that we play at in Jamaica. He's definitely above the Manning Cup level. And, you know, something that we said on our show is that when players stand out in the Manning Cup, it's a good indication that they'll stand out in the JPL. It's a good indication. Most players that make the Manning Cup look too easy usually make the JPL and domestic league look a bit easier also. So I think he's also
Give
about...
people some examples.
Yeah, we talk about Junior Flemings, we talk about Alex Marshall, we talk about all those players, Amal Knight. When they go into the JPL, they usually dominate.
And they immediately too.
Javier Brown.
Yeah.
You know, those players, they go into the JPL and they do well. So I also think Whisper, like those players, he's above the level. I think the best place for him is either one of the better teams in the MLS, and I'm talking about if he's going to play.
Right.
Now, if he's going to be treated as the next top or the next star, I think a feeder club in Europe, let's say a Belgium or a Netherlands, I think that would be the best place for him. Not England just yet. I don't think he'll make the no, I'm not talking about Premier League. I'm not getting carried away. But I feel like a feeder program, even in Germany, let's say a Salzburg, or one of those teams that we know that young players will get their chances. I feel like that would be the next best step. Let's say Genk, let's say Anderlecht, those places that we know that feed young players out into the world and into Germany and Spain and England. That's what I think is the best step.
Yeah, I tend to agree with him. You know, I don't necessarily want to see him in the MLS. You know, I'd love to see him in, as you said, either a youth academy of a good European team or a senior club team in a European team that's not as renowned but good for youth development. You know, we saw his Phoenix counterpart, Leon Bailey, initiate his season at Genk, you know, where he bursted onto the scene with a bang, you know, winning Young Player of the Season consecutively and then going on to bigger things. And now he plies his trade in the English Premier League, and that's as big as it gets for a player. So I think probably replicating, you know, the footprint of Leon Bailey, you know, starting in a place like Genk would give him the best start, the best option, the best opportunity to further his career.
Rush, you know, Jamar was saying earlier that he believes that for the Nations League next year, he should get a call-up. Next year, we have under 17, under 20, and of course, a lot of senior team assignments. You think he's ready for a senior call-up or utilize the under 20s for him to get integrated in a national setup in a sense?
First of all, it's egregious. It's absolutely, it's despicable that Whisper haven't played for Jamaica yet. At any level. There's no way he shouldn't have been, you know, playing at the under 20 competition in the
Early
summer.
this year, right.
No way. As far as the senior team go, I want to make this opinion that we both share clear as possible. Right. We are not saying Dujon Richards is one of the 23 best players that Jamaica have to offer. Definitely in the attacking position because we have a wealth of attacking players.
Right.
Even Andre Gray are players that are at the back end of their career are still better professionals than Whisper. So he's not the third or fourth best forward or attacker. But the thing is, he's next up. He's going to be on that plane to 2026 World Cup, and isn't that the goal? Why wouldn't we have him in the team? Why wouldn't we bred him? You know, again, we are not saying he's better than Shamar Nicholson. We're not saying he's better than Mikel Antonio. But if that is where we're going, if the future is what we're thinking about, why not stop calling those 33 and 34-year-olds and give a Dujon Richards, a 17-year-old, that is next up, the chance to be on the plane, to be around the team because he's going to be an important part of that 2026 campaign. I really believe so.
To add to that, you said should he just play the under 20s and not play the senior team? There's no rule that prevents him from traveling with the senior team and still going out and playing with the national under 20s. So he definitely should be in the under 20 team, but I think he definitely should travel with the senior team. You know, FIFA, due to COVID and the positive that it's brought us, you know, have expanded the team roster to 26, and I think that's going to be a permanent mainstay. Now we have 3 more spots than we'd normally have. You know, carry the kid because he's definitely next up, and I think he can perform at the senior level. I'm not saying he's better than the strikers that we do have, but I think he has the ability to get into good positions and to score goals at that level. I really do believe that he possesses that quality. And as it relates to his next step, making a move to Europe, we know that that's not going to be able to happen until next September when he's 18 years old. So what he'll do in that year, you know, I'm not sure what's the best route for him. You know, we suggested the JPL, but of course, looking at that decision, we probably realize that's probably not the best way to go because he'd be a target in that competition, you know, and it's not worth it. He has nothing to gain and all to lose for playing the JPL. So what he'll be doing for the next year, I'm not sure. But after that, Europe definitely in his options. And I think by the time he's 19 years old, he probably will be good enough to be a part of that front 3 or front 2 or front 4, or however it is that Grimmy decides to play football again. And I think
Yeah.
he will be a pivotal part of our team in just 2 years' time. So I think it's time to start calling this kid right now and
For
get
sure.
him caps.
For sure.
Yeah, and persons in the comments are concurring with you. Bolliker says, real talk. Brian Peter says, Whisper shouldn't go to the JPL, neither should he go to MLS.
Yeah.
He needs to go to Europe where his traits will be developed and he will have access to the resources he will need to get better. There is also no structure in the national setup for young players to develop. A lot of players who have gone into the senior team have faded away. McGee, Walker, Peter Lee Vassell, Alex Marshall, Jordan Fletcher, etc. So those are the views that some people are giving. And Joma, you're speaking about Grimmy. The JFF have announced that they're sending Coach Hallgrimsson, and he will be at the Germany-Costa Rica game today. He will also be at the Canada-Morocco game and the US-Netherlands as well. Your thoughts about him being there and scouting, looking at Nations League. We have, of course, have next year Gold Cup and, of course, qualifiers down the road as well.
First of all, I'm kind of envious. Like, he's at Qatar watching the World Cup. I mean, imagine being paid to go to Qatar and watch the World Cup. That's an amazing job. But fun and jokes aside, you know, I think it's good foresight from the JFF. You know, I think they're demonstrating perspicacity for like identifying how well this can, you know, that this can help the team. You know, it might not necessarily be very impactful immediately, but this establishes a precedence going forward that yes, the JFF and the Jamaica senior team will have a presence internationally. We will be able to go to Japan to watch the Jamaicans that apply their trade there. We will be able to go to Europe, to the Netherlands, to Belgium, to England, to the MLS, all over. And that's something that we lacked before. In Leon Bailey's very controversial interview, he spoke about not one time any member of the JFF delegation came to watch him when he was in Belgium or Germany. Not once. And I'm saying, had England have a young talent like that in Belgium or in Germany, Gareth Southgate himself would be there in the stands in one of those VIP boxes watching and taking notes. And that has not been a part of the Jamaican program to this point. The fact that they're implementing this now, you know, understanding the importance of sending members of delegation, in particular the senior head coach, to these different places to see teams and to see players, I think is an important step. And I'm very impressed with that.
Yeah, Rush, I know maybe 80% of the things that Jomar says you would agree with. Are you on the same page here or a slightly different take?
No, 100%. I feel like the precedence is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Now that we know that the JFF will send the national coach to go and look at players, now this is the standard that we're going to demand from our national program. It's also important to see the level. You know, it's also important to see what happens in Qatar.
That is
now
it.
we want it to be there. The coach need to have that experience to go and say, when he comes back to Jamaica for the Nations League in March, he's supposed to look at those players and say, this is what the real top pros are doing. This is how the national teams operate. What are we doing? We need to liken ourselves like them. And the truth is, we were speaking about this off here, and you know, one of the producers said that the real professional leagues, the real professional countries,
Right.
that this is no news. This will not make the news. You know, this is standard procedure. The head coach will go and watch their players. They will travel. It's not a new thing. Now that Jamaica is implementing this, I think it's great for the nation. And this is the standard that we will hold the national program accountable to. We can travel, send the head coach to watch the players.
Well said indeed. And the new General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation, Dennis Chung, has made it clear as well that he himself and President Ricketts were in Qatar, but it was strictly for the FIFA Congress, unlike recent tournaments where JFF delegations would stay at a World Cup until the final, until the latter stages. They were just there for the Congress and then they left. They felt it was more important to use the resources that they had to send the head coach to go and watch those games. So kudos to the JFF for that decision in particular and ensuring that that is something that is well put in place and in stone with everything. Jomar, just wanted to know your thoughts. I mean, you spoke about the interview and everything of that nature. The JFF have made it clear as well that the matter is now with Coach Hallgrimsson and with the team manager Roy Simpson as well. I just want to know if you had any expectations, if there might be a slap on the wrist that Leon might get, or you know, if it's something that we should just forget about and move on. That was the past, this is now, sort of thing.
Yeah, he didn't hit out on the current administration. To my knowledge, he hit out on what was going on, and there has been an overall. You know, the new Gen Sec, we've been very impressed with. So I think this is just, you know, a revision of history. That's all it was. Nothing more than that. He came and he spoke out about what was happening. You know, had it been a case where, for example, the recent Captain's documentary that kind of gave insight as to what is currently happening or what recently happened, I think this was more, you know, just a telling of what did happen, you know, how he was blackballed. At this point, Leon Bailey is one of the leaders of the Reggae Boys. You know, he's one of the leaders in the team, and he's the star player. He is the son to the JFFs and the national senior team solar system. And I think because of this, what he did now, speaking about what happened then, irrelevant at this point.
Although I share that opinion, I have a different perspective to it.
Yeah.
I feel like we should use it as a wake-up moment. The thing is, yes, he's speaking about things that happened in the past, but he also said in the interview that there are people, there are persons in the JFF to this day. The people that did that to him, you know, obviously, if it is true, if it is the truth, then we need to eradicate those persons out of the JFF. No, that is absolutely not the way, you know, that anybody, you know, in any administration should operate. So if it is true, I'm not here to say it is true, if it is true or not. I'm just saying if that is the truth, then, you know, I feel like we should really find out who that person is or who those persons are and get them out. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people liken it to Cristiano Ronaldo's interview.
Right.
And the thing is, when you're telling the truth, you know, we have a hard time, you know, analyzing what you're saying, because the timing is also important, as I said on the last show.
Right.
You know, that is the past. Because it is the truth, if it is relevant now, then we should deal with it. But other than that, I don't even think a slap on the wrist is necessary. I honestly believe this can be sorted out with a conversation. I think it is that easy. You know, to come and say, yo, this is a new administration, we're trying to rebuild the trust with the players. Can you come out and make a statement and say that you like a few of the moves that we've made? You know, this can be solved without punishment, because we can't afford to punish Liam Bailey.
Right. Understood.
I disagree that last part. Like, if Liam Bailey deserves to be punished, then Liam
If
Bailey
it warrants
has to
it,
be punished.
if it warrants it, but this
I'm
is
not
not the
saying we
case.
can't afford to. We definitely can afford to. Nobody's bigger than the program. So we can definitely afford to punish Liam Bailey if Liam Bailey warrants punishment. However, this is not an instant where he deserves to be punished.
I'm punishing him right now. We'll also be punishing
This is not
us
an
and our football.
This is not an instant where he should be punished any at all.
Not at all.
But Liam Bailey is not above punishment.
Not at all.
And you know as well, Joe Maran Rush, the General Secretary Dennis Chung, made it clear that fans, they have questions, they have concerns, and they want to ensure that there is a platform where those matters can be dealt with. Questions that people ask on this or that sports TV or Reggae Boys commentary or 876 stream, questions about the program, etc. And a suggestion that he has is for himself and the president, Mr. Ricketts, to have a platform on social media where fans can be able to do that. Do you like that approach where administrators can be able to go on a live and then you see comments from fans and they can answer to it, your thoughts about them being engaging more publicly in the eyes of fans? Yeah.
Mr. Chung, contact this or that sports TV, because we are more than willing to run the Reggae Boys YouTube page. You get me? So we can build it from scratch and get it to a point or interact with the people, give the people what they want.
Yeah.
We're already giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
So imagine we get more access. That's all we want.
It's crazy. And to think that we don't have that as yet is kind of crazy. You think about we have no access to the players. We have no access to the administration. You can't think of, if you want to see an interview with them, you will have to go and see a TV interview. You know,
I come to this or that.
I come to this or that sports TV because we're getting there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, fans want to feel that the people that are in charge of what they support, they are relatable.
Not to cut you, and this is an example that I always use, because although they always manage to underperform, this is the best run FA in the whole entire world, and that's England.
Right.
And you see the English FA's YouTube page, like 17 minutes of
Behind the
Ramsdale,
scenes, yeah.
Pickford and Nick Pope making saves with their goalkeeper coach, like 17 minutes of that. So all who are interested in that can just sit and watch that. You know, I saw a video of all of them arriving to go to the World Cup.
It's like a half an hour video, yeah.
Just
Arrive,
Yeah.
everybody arrive,
shake
give
hands,
the manager the
walk on,
passport,
yeah.
and go in and
Get
sit
them
down
books,
and get booked. Welcome to the World Cup. Welcome to the World Cup. I'm not even an English fan, and I sat and I watched that because I couldn't wait for Ramsdale to pull up. You know, I couldn't wait for Bakayo to. I wanted to see what he's going to wear. You know, if he's going to wear a sweatsuit or if he's going to wear a dope fit, as the young kids would say. And I wanted to see Ben White, and I wanted to see Harry Maguire. Would there be side eyes from his future teammates? Like, that's the type of stuff that fans want to see, and I think it's easy to implement. You know. And I think this new Gen Sec might, be considering to do things like that. But I think it's a must. It's essential. Stuff like that, it helps the fanfare. And I think it will aid in the National Stadium being more full when it's time to fill the National Stadium. And it will just help galvanize the people, and it will improve the quality of football.
Yeah. That last point was where I was going. The culture. I feel like it would improve the culture because people would feel like they're more relatable. The players and the administration are more relatable. And Yeah, you're touchable. They're right there. We see them on our screens, and they speak about things that we commented. You know, and that would definitely build culture and improve the turnout in the National Stadium.
Yeah, just before we take a look at the fixtures that we have to come today, of course, the Croatia against Belgium and Count and Canada against Morocco. Let me just ask Jomar and Rush one more. Look, Jomar, you came on Reggae Boys commentary quite recently as well, I think last year, and you spoke about the captaincy situation where after Donovan Ricketts, it went to Rudy Austin, and after Rudy Austin, you would think that Mariappa would have gotten it, but it's still with Blake. And right now, the conversation is about what Blake is saying regarding Jamaica's number 10 in Ravel right now. For you, does he continue with that armband heading to 2026, or we see how things progress with the Gold Cup and then we make a decision after that?
You know, it's because there's a precedent established, because Mariappa was the vice captain of the team, and then all of a sudden now Mariappa is not even one of the two captains on the team. So there's a precedent established for removing someone from a position while still having him in the team. I do believe that Andre Blake is and should continue to be our keeper going forward, although keep an eye on Kanaya Boyce Clark. You know, that kid is up and coming. Absolutely. But I do believe that Andre Blake is and should be our goalkeeper going forward, and you know, I have no inhibitions about saying that. However, I think sometimes his leadership can come into question, and I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. And I think there might be more suitable candidates on the team to take over that armband. You know, I think Damien Lowe is a storied leader. Damien Lowe is one of the few Jamaicans that I saw during the whole division situation.
Right.
He was always hanging with Ravel. He was always hanging with Andre Gray. You know, those are two people that I would see hang out and speak very often. I think Damien Lowe is more inclusive of everybody. And I think Damien Lowe himself is a solid leader and a great individual. I think he's a shout. Also, the kid, the star of the moment, Leon Bailey, he will have 2 or 3 more World Cups in him, and I don't think there's a problem right now to go for it and say give him the captaincy. We saw it with Lionel Messi. You know, at a young age, Mascherano kind of had to take a step back while still playing on the team. Mascherano took the armband off it and gave it to Lionel Messi, and we saw how that helped him. You know, captaining this team to a World Cup MVP, greatest of all time. But I definitely think there can be a paradigm shift as it relates to the captains. I think Damien Lowe and Leon Bailey will be my 2 top candidates.
All right, same view?
Yeah,
okay.
there can be a paradigm shift if we need it.
Yeah.
Or should we actually do it?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, but I wouldn't be mad at it. You know, one of those decisions that if it happens, then great. But if it doesn't happen, then I feel like Andre Blake. You know, would be okay. He's also a leader at Philadelphia Union. Obviously, I want to see him with a more vocal role in the national program. I want to see him a bit more inclusive. I feel like improving his leadership in the team would be more of the step rather than removing him.
Yeah, but Rush, the point that he was making would to be like his comments, like his general comments. It's obviously showing that he's not loved and respected by everyone in the dressing room. And I think that's important for a leader. You know, he's a leader. A reference I always make, I'm not sure if it's young or if it's dated, but like a captain should kind of serve in a sense like the avatar, where he's a master of all various elements of the game. You know, he's a person who's knowledgeable, he's a person who's very talented, and he's a person who's very friendly with everybody on the team, who's also very respected. And I'm not sure if Andre Blake still has the full respect of the dressing room, considering the likes of the Ravel Morrisons, as you say, probably doesn't look at him as the leader of the team. And I think because of that, it's important to make the move because of that.
Yeah, as I said, if the move is made, no problem. But I think improving the situation right now would probably be the decision. And I feel like he's not awful, but he could be better. It's one of those. But I feel like this is the last one. I feel like Leon Bailey should be the next captain. I feel like we should give him that role. I think he'll thrive in the role. Honestly, not right now. I feel like, as I said, improving on Andre Blake's leadership. But for after this 26 campaign, I honestly believe that Leon Bailey should be the next captain.
All right, let's now switch our attention to the tournament itself. You're going to see a graphic on your screen quite shortly as it relates to those fixtures in particular. Croatia against Belgium coming up at 10, Canada, Morocco at 10. We have our post-game show and pre-game show at 1 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock it's Japan, Spain, and Costa Rica versus Germany, also at 2 o'clock, and the post-game show at 4 o'clock. Just a reminder again, the 3 shows, 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Right now, over the next half an hour, we'll discuss the Croatia-Belgium encounter and Canada versus Morocco. Let's take some of your comments as well. Bolliker says France have a YouTube channel as well too. Yeah, that is true. They also show the same content like England as well. Show where they eat at meal times as well. The vibes and the banter. So that is true. Alex Taylor gave his predictions for the game. Canada won Morocco 3. Interesting. Croatia 2, Belgium 1, Japan 1, Spain 4, and Germany 3, Costa Rica 0. Interesting. And Alex Taylor giving his thoughts that Leon Bailey cannot be captain. Who would you suggest? Who would you suggest for the team? Let us know your thoughts, and of course with the panel we'll get their opinion as well as it relates to the suggestions that you have. Rush, what's going on with Belgium?
Man, I have no clue. They are up there for one of the flops of the World Cup, for sure. You know, the thing is, I expected them to do better. A lot of people say that they saw it coming, in that their football haven't been great, but they've managed to pull out results. Nevertheless, they were unbeaten in qualifiers. They didn't have a great Nations League. They didn't leave the group. But at the same time, you know, we saw teams that didn't perform recently. You know, i.e. England, who was abysmal at the Nations League, Poland, who wasn't great at Nations League, coming to the World Cup and doing well. So we know that teams that you know haven't performed well over the most recent years can come into the World Cup and do well. Now, as far as Belgium go, I think they're just they might be one tournament too late. I think the last one may have been their best shot at it. But even so, they're still underperforming, and I can't put my finger on it. The football is just not great. They're not creating enough chances, and they're definitely not taking their chances. And at this moment, I don't know what to attribute that to. It might just be, you know, a love story gone stale. That might just be it. It might just be the time to shake it up, honestly.
Oh, boy.
Their captain is Eden Hazard. Do I need to say any more?
Gone stale.
Yeah, that I think is the story of Belgium. You know, they've aged out, as Kevin De Bruyne probably alluded to. You know, as many people would have made reference to. You know, their golden generation. I think that window has passed, and they did not capitalize on that. I think their star players are aged and not very good, except Kevin De Bruyne. You know, they are suffering from injuries. You know, they're not a fully fit team. In addition to the fact that they're aged out, and I just don't think they're well coached. You know, they don't play coherent football. They don't play with a very defined system. And because of that, teams, though not as talented, are outplaying them. And I do believe that today is where the train ends for Belgium.
Jomar, did you see the interview that KDB gave after one of their games, so that he doesn't think that they're going to win it? How does that affect the team when your captain says you have no chance at all? When you're one of those players in the dressing room and the captain says we're not going to win it or we have no chance?
Well, as I said, first of all, vice captain, because the captain is Eden Hazard, you know, as I keep mentioning.
Right, vice captain, yes.
Yeah. When KDB always seemed like, you know, an honest and straightforward, no bomb rush type of person. You know, he's always seemed like a person who just says that as it is and does not care. And I think he's just been very honest. You know, he knows that he's probably the third or second best player in the whole entire world. He knows that if the team plays well beside of him, they can do well. But he looks around him and he looks over his shoulder and he looks in front of him and he looks behind him and he's like, what is this that I have to play with? You know, so I can understand his frustration, and what I think it does for the dressing room, I think the dressing room can't possibly be worse than it is right now.
Certainly has had an impact, yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that one. I don't know if this might be the 10% that I disagree with.
About the dressing room part?
No, just about, you know, the take on it. I believe this is not the time to say it. Now we're in a tournament, we still have a chance. Let's just fight. We've seen crazier stories. Let's just fight. Inspire us. You're one of the leaders. Don't tell us that we don't have a chance with one game to go, that we can, you know, pull an upset and make it to the next round. Don't tell us that. It's not the best message to send. And if I was a player in that dressing room, it would not inspire confidence at all. Now I'd probably look at him and say, what, bro? As I said again, I said it last show and I'm going to say it again. Timing is a very important thing. And what you say to the media is very important. You have to inspire your team and inspire confidence. He could be Jomar could be right. It could honestly not get any worse. But we don't know that just yet. And it could get a bit better.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like inspiring confidence, going out there and say we will give our all. Even if you don't say we're going to win it. Dodge the question.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best and see where it leaves us. But don't tell us that you can't win it. If I was a player, that would be, you know, obviously from a fan's perspective or from a neutral's perspective.
Right.
I don't really care. I don't think they could win it anyways, but as a player, I don't love it.
I think KDB stayed true to himself. You know, Kevin De Bruyne is that type of person who is not going to be riled up in any interviews. He's one of the most even-keeled persons that is on the world stage. You know, he doesn't express very much passion. He doesn't get riled up. So I think you're just saying that it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just look on your screen now and you see Belgium's recent records in the World Cup. The last time that they didn't pass the group stages, 1998. And on that occasion, they actually draw their games in the group. They didn't lose a single game that tournament. Round of 16 in 2002, the likes of Mark Wilmots and company, they got into the round of 16 before being eliminated by eventual winners Brazil. And they missed back-to-back World Cups in that time frame. 2014, they were eliminated by Argentina in the quarterfinals. And their best ever run in World Cup history was 4 years ago, where they ended third overall, defeating England in a third place playoff by 2-0. Before we get some more reactions from the panel, let me take some of the comments that we have as well. Chris the Sports Guy says, big up 876 Stream. Belgium, they are the flops of the tournament, not one of. You can certainly understand the reasoning for sure. And Dexter's Lab says, morning time, big up team, big up everybody. Belgian waffles today. Balakar says, just watch some video, this or that sports ago. Send it to your IG page. You need to watch this, brother. It's sad. So we'll see what video was sent by that person in particular. Chris the Sports Guy says, Morocco 2, Canada 0. Spain 3-0 over Japan. Germany 2, Costa Rica 0. Croatia 2, Belgium 1. Wow. Dexter says, Croatia, I gonna mash up some waffles. Balakar says, you can do calling on this show, not necessarily at this point in time. Hopefully we can do so later when we have our watch along segment. But do, text, type your responses, and we'll definitely read it out so you can give your thoughts where that is concerned. So do give us your thoughts, Balakar, and we'll definitely let you know your thoughts about that. Joma, you spoke about the captain in Eden Hazard and KDB as well, but not even Lukaku gets a start today. That shows as well the lack of fitness, everything around him surrounding the tournament itself, joining Eden Hazard at fast food restaurants and everything of that nature. It just shows the level and the maturity in everything.
But before I get into that, Simon,
Yeah.
I want you to tell the people who you had winning the World Cup.
I had the Red Devils.
It's crazy.
Can you please,
What inspired that
Can you
take?
please walk us through why you would make such an absurd take, Simon?
Yeah,
Sorry for putting you on the spot. You're the one who puts people on the spot, but
That's fine, no problem. So the reason that I had them was the defense that they had, even though that it was an aging backline, I saw goals in this team. So I didn't think Martinez cared whether he would win a game 5-4, 4-3, 4-2. I mean, yeah, they could get a point today and still go through. That is the reality of the situation. So the way that I had them is based on the passage that they had. So I had Belgium top in the group. I think they would have gone on to face in the round of 16. That'll be Group E. So I had either Spain round of 16, quarterfinals. I think would have been Germany. No, Germany would have been the Brazil-Germany game if that had proceeded that way. I think it would have been Portugal in the last 8. And then in semi-final 1, Brazil-Argentina. Semi-final 2, Belgium-England. And I had an Argentina-Belgium final. So that's the passage that I had. The reason why I had that in particular is because I had an expectation that Lukaku would have been available for their last friendly match prior to the tour, which was in Egypt, but he didn't play in that encounter. And I had that feeling that if he had that game under his belt, that he would have been fine. He didn't play versus Canada, got half an hour or so against Morocco, so it hasn't gone to plan. So if Belgium doesn't advance from this group, this will be the biggest flop in World Cup history in my eyes.
the biggest flop in World
I'm
Cup
just-
In the
history.
21st century.
Is that because you predicted them to win? That's why it's the biggest flop in World Cup history.
Yeah, of
They
course.
don't embarrass Simon Preston, Belgium. But tell me real good, Simon, how do you feel about that take?
Yeah.
Because I heard that you're trying to put some optimism in there,
Yeah.
or they could still get. How do you feel about
What
it?
he's saying is that
Yeah.
his take was so good
Yeah.
that if it doesn't come to fruition,
Yes.
Belgium is now the biggest flop in World Cup.
Yeah.
But how you feel about it? You think you can still up more? You're jumping ship at this point.
I feel they can advance, but to win the tournament is going to be quite a stretch.
I don't think it will.
Well, I had Denmark going all the way to the finals.
I had England going to the finals. I'm still in it.
Yeah, England go final. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
but I have Brazil
England.
winning.
Brazil,
But I have- yeah. But I have
But
England.
as it relates to the question that you proposed about Lukaku,
Yeah.
I think he's important to what Belgium has to offer, But are they taking their football very seriously? I'm not there with them to know. But one thing I can say for certain is that Eden Hazard, especially when he made his move to Madrid, was not taking his football as seriously as he should have. Is that rubbing off on other players in the Belgium roster? Well,
Fair.
apparently. He's their captain, and he's obviously leading from in front. Lukaku needs to get on the field for Belgium to even have a chance to score today, much less get through. I think they will be defeated today.
Okay.
If they go through to the round of 16, then they'll be defeated right there. As I said, not a very good prediction, Simon.
Yeah.
Can't go with it on that one.
Not
Yeah.
not at
Yeah.
all. And as far as the question, as far as the question go, I think the coach is shaking it up, man. Last game we saw Batshuayi starting. We saw, I think both Hazard started. I think we saw De Bruyne in one of the wide spots.
Correct. Yeah.
It's weird. I think the
No,
coach
for,
is.
for Belgium, De Bruyne tends
No,
to
but
play
today he's
wide.
playing in the midfield.
Oh.
He's playing as one of the two.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the coach is just shaking it up, man. Just saying, hey, here what we've tried. It's, Hazard, you're not taking this thing serious. Sit
Yeah.
on this bench here. But sure, you're not the man. Sit on this bench
Yeah.
and let's go with Mertens and Trossard and a new guard. And this is why I think they will probably get a result today. I know we'll get there soon.
Yeah.
But that's why he's shaking it up.
Yeah. And before we look at Canada and what they have to offer as well, and an insert for you guys on the Croatian side of things as well, Jomar, the midfield, it might be aging, but they're still turning over. They're still turning over these results.
Because there's a difference between, as you mentioned, Eden Hazard and
Luka Modric.
Luka Modric. He is the epitome of professionalism. He personifies that. You know, he plays simple, he's very humble, but he obviously works super hard. And the difference between Luka Modric at 28 and at what seems like 48 now, because he's been in the game so long, is not very vast. You know, he's still the same player. Obviously, he's played with less athleticism. You know, he's played deeper. He's improved his range of passing. You know, he's diversified his game. That's definitely something that he's done. But he's managed to stay with the times, and he's managed to grow with the game, still keeping himself very relevant. You know, as a midfielder, as a central player in football today, and that's exactly why Croatia managed to be the Croatia that they are.
Yeah, because it's a similar story.
Yeah.
Belgium and Croatia have a similar story.
That is
In
it.
that this just might be, I think this is their golden generation. I think this is the star leading the team again. Luka Modric leading this team, Eden Hazard leading this team, but two different type of stars. One that is built on hard work, one that is built on reinventing himself. I would say Eden Hazard went to Real Madrid, lost that X factor that he had, and not being able to reinvent himself. We see Luka Modric losing the athleticism, but one thing you can't argue with is his technique, his passing, he's not taking too many touches. One time, Luka Modric would dribble that pitch. You know, he's not doing that anymore. What he's doing is playing that finesse ball. He's playing that, he's reinventing himself. And I think that's the key. Along with, 11 players also doing the same thing, taking it serious and transitioning with him is the key to Croatia doing this. And they could go very far in this tournament.
Yeah,
they could go.
You speak about their golden generation. I think these teams are both one World Cup cycle removed from their golden generation. You know, I think Croatia though, we're definitely not blessed with the talent that Belgium has. However, Croatia managed to utilize what they have and push it as far as they could have possibly pushed it. Falling to an outstanding French team in the last World Cup. So I think that's all due to leadership, and Modric still showing how good he is. In addition to other players who are currently on form, who are good players, the likes of Perisic, who is having a very good season to this point, coming to the World Cup and transitioning just as such stuff. I think this Croatian team, are playing above what they should be playing, but that's because of good leadership and quality coaching.
Yeah, Modric at 37, Brozovic 30, Perisic 33, Kramaric 31, and Lovren 33, the oldest lads within that squad and still turning over some great results. We have a special interview that we'd like to play for you, and as we said, this is an individual that has not come out publicly since being removed as head coach of the Reggae Girls, and big up coach, really, really appreciate you talking about this. We're going to talk about the Canada side of things, of course. Coach Hubert Busby, he was a reggae boy, but in addition to that, he was the head coach of the Reggae Girls, born in Canada. So he also worked with the current Canadian coach, John Herdman, in the past, and knows a lot of the players that part of the Canadian roster. So let's get his thoughts about how Canada has done so far in the tournament, his expectations, and also about players that are in Canada of Jamaican heritage. Will there be a tussle moving forward? Let's find out.
Well, I think they've done very well. I mean, all things considered, I think they've come out in both games and played on the front foot. Arguably, one could say maybe that wasn't the right strategy, but I think you can't fault them for coming out and showing the right mindset. I think at times, again, you're playing some quality opposition, some quality world-class players, and it just simply shows. And again, there's no issues or when you think about some of the results that have come their way, it's based on two quality teams with a lot of different experiences, and I think that's kind of what done them in the head. I think obviously a lot has been said about the so-called poking the bear. I think obviously, John would probably be, and he has been the first one to say, it's a little bit of an own goal on his fault on his part. But that's a lesson. That's a lesson to be learned, and understanding a little bit more about Croatia. They thrive on those sort of scenarios. So overall, I think so far they've shown them well and showed that they do, which is true. They can compete with anyone in the world stage, and they've done that. So looking forward to see what happens in the Morocco game.
And coach, when you look at, the youth that is in the squad right now with Alfonso at 22, Liam Miller 23, Tajan Buchanan also 23 as well, and the likes of Kone, who is just 20 as well, Liam Fraser 24. In a sense, could you say it's setting the stone and the building blocks for 2026 when these guys will be in their mid to late 20s and could be at their physical peak by then?
Yeah, and I think the likes of Miller and Sinclair obviously playing in MLS and playing at a decent level, and more importantly, getting regular minutes week in, week out will bode well. And then obviously, the competitions that are, with Nations League and Gold Cup, they're going to be set up in such a way that allows for them to continue to grow. I think the key will be, what that next sort of players come in to supplement those guys will look like. But overall, I think, truth be told, I think the entire region looks well, especially with those three countries hosting. I think they look well, and obviously, it'll put some pressure on us, Jamaica, to make sure that obviously we have the right players in place and the right plan in place to qualify for this World Cup. But I think CONCACAF has equipped themselves well, regardless of the results. I think we've equipped ourselves well at this World Cup. But again, there's a huge gap that still needs to be closed. But I think kind of the region is well on their way.
And coach, just putting your Jamaican hat on for a little bit, as you know, the Jamaican diaspora in Canada is huge, just like the UK as well. Do you feel like Canada being in the World Cup will perhaps inspire a few Canadian-born players with Jamaican heritage to deck out for Canada, or we still might have opportunities where some Canadian-born guys might look the way of Jamaica in the future as well?
That affiliation and that connection is strong, and it's hard for people to kind of understand. But you live in a country, but your culture is your culture, and so a lot of the kids and the families that I run into, it's amazing. Especially in places like obviously in Scarborough, Brampton East, their affiliation, they would, I think they've kind of left both kind of opportunities open. I think what's been interesting now is a little bit at one point, it used to be kind of said, well, if you can't play for Canada, if you can't play for you kind of go play for Jamaica. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think actively players are pursuing the opportunity to come and look at their dual nationality, and that's everywhere. That's not just obviously Jamaican Canadians. I mean, that looks everywhere, that across the globe people are looking at the opportunity of where they can kind of represent and what's the best fit for them from a professional standpoint as well. So to your point, I think it's going to be interesting to see, but I do know there's a lot of Jamaican Canadians that are interested on both the male and female side of things. And I would say this, the Jamaican diaspora, the parents who've left for Jamaica, if they had their choice, it would only be one, and that would be to represent Jamaica all the time, because I think those conversations are always quite interesting. So people leave, but they never forget their roots. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting the next couple of years to see what kind of transpires on that end.
So whenever you go to a Toronto FC or Montreal Impact and go into the academies, 1 in every 5 players currently right now have players that were born in Canada but born to Jamaican parents or grandparents. At the latter part of that interview, you heard from Coach Busby that there could be a tussle in the future as it relates to players coming through and might be in two minds. Do I go for Canada, the country of my birth, on home soil 2026, or the land of my heritage that I know very, very well, that I come home every day and I'm immersed in that Jamaican culture? We'll definitely see how the next few years go where that is concerned. And as I was mentioned on previous times, a number of players of this Canadian roster born to Jamaican parents. Junior Hoylett, extremely close to representing Jamaica under the Captain Horace Burrell administration. Tajan Buchanan, another one in particular as well. Cornelius, Kamal Miller, amongst many, many others. Canada, this is their second appearance at the World Cup. They scored their first goal quite recently, but as they prepare to take on Morocco, all eyes will be to see if they can be able to get their first point or even win. Those are their results in World Cup history. 1986 in Mexico, they lost 1-0 to France, 2-0 to Hungary, and 2-0 to the Soviet Union. 2022 in this tournament, Belgium 1, Canada 0, and Croatia 4, Canada 1. Alphonso Davies getting their first goal in World Cup history. We'll see how they can manage the Moroccans today, who have only won 3 games in World Cup history. They defeated Portugal by 3-1 in 86, Scotland 3-0 in 1998 in France, and just on Sunday they blanked Belgium by 2-0. They'll be looking for a last 16 spot for the first time since 1986. So another big task on our hands. Gentlemen, let's look slightly ahead to the last 2 fixtures that we have for the day in the remaining 8 or 9 minutes that we have left. Germany against Costa Rica, and we also have, in addition to that, Spain against Japan. Jomar, did it catch you off guard, the Japan-Costa Rica result, opening up the group even more to a point where all teams in this group still have a genuine chance of progressing?
What if I was to tell you that in spite of all the other results that transpired over this World Cup, I think that one, to me, is the biggest upset. You know, I was not expecting that result. You know, I didn't catch that 5 o'clock game. You know, unfortunately, I was not able to wake myself so early on that particular day. But waking up and hearing that result, I had to go and watch what transpired. You know, obviously, the game kind of went as expected. You know, it just so happened that Costa Rica were managed to convert on the minuscule opportunity that they got, you know, and they made it count.
Yeah.
And that's what really matters in tournament play. But I still just, it was easier for me to believe, even though I watched this game. But had I not watched both games, it would have been easier for me to believe that Japan defeated Germany than to believe that Costa Rica defeated Japan. That's how surprised I was at this result. Absolutely ridiculous. But this World Cup is a madness, as I said before.
Yeah, I think most people were expecting Costa Rica to lose 3 games in this tournament.
Yep.
Most people. And that would be a safe prediction. But the thing is, football is not played on paper. You know, you have to go out there and nothing is given. It must be earned. You know, that's something like, you must earn it. You have to go out there and play football. And this is the World Cup. You have to understand, every game is a cup final in the World Cup. Every game is potentially a player's last game in the World Cup. So everybody's trying to play their best. You know, the teams that we see slip up are usually the teams that we expect to do that. You know, we've been there, they've done that. Players playing their second World Cup. But teams like Japan, players knowing that the next World Cup is not given.
Yeah.
No, you have to go there, you have to fight to qualify. This might be the reason why we see these teams pulling out some upsets, you know, and you know, this group is another group that, you know, have a great contender. I know we'll talk about this is the next match we'll talk about.
Right.
They have another great contender for the flop of the World Cup. And it's crazy. What Jovar said, this World Cup, I think the theme is it's a madness.
That is it.
Yeah. And Jomar, the Spanish, they're just carrying out their business. Of course, the German game gave them a little test, but they're up and running and still continuing new style. Well, same time as our passing, but the players coming through, the Gavis, the Pedros, etc. Something is happening with the Spanish?
Something is happening,
Yeah.
but nothing to really think about too hard. And I think Spain will bout in the quarterfinals, as was generally expected.
Really?
They definitely started out very well, and I think their team is poised for the future. You know, however, I think when they encounter the more formidable opponents with more experience, the likes of the Francis, the likes of the Argentinas, the likes of the Brazils, and dare I say, the likes of the Portuguese, you know, I think they might give the Spanish team a run for their money, not necessarily because of the talent matchup, but because of the experience and the been there, done that factor that these other teams possess. So I don't think Spain is a contender just yet, especially drawing to a German team that's just unimpressive. You know, I was disappointed in that result by Spain. I think the result versus Costa Rica is an anomaly. I think they shell-shocked them. They got out very early and there was no recovery for Costa Rica, considering that the way Costa Rica has played since World Cup qualifying is to sit, consolidate, suck up pressure, and then to get out on the counter. We've seen them play that way in the whole CONCACAF.
Yeah.
So when you succumb, or when you concede 2 early goals so quickly, it absolutely turns your system all the way on its head. And because of that, I think Costa Rica were not able to recover in the Spanish game. I don't think that's a good indication on how good Spain are.
Rush, if you look at it, if Brazil tops their group and Spain tops it, it's Brazil against Spain quarterfinals. You agree with Jomar that Spain is not a contender?
I don't think Spain is a contender. I'm not getting carried away with Spain. That first game, I feel like, is not a true representation of what they are. And even though, a lot of people say that Spain, I said on the first show that Brazil has the perfect mix of experience and young talent. Spain also have a great mix of that, having Carvalho and Alba and Busquets and some of those players, but still having the Pedris and the, those players that are sprinkled around it. But I think they're also not as good as the Brazilians. I think those young players are not as promising as the Brazilians, especially in the wide areas. They're starting Asensio and those players who, yes, they are good players, but they can't take them over the line as much as Vinicius or as much as Rafinha or as much as, those players could take Brazil over the line. So that is why I think they're different from Brazil. Feel like that inexperience will hurt them, and I feel like in that game in that Germany game they had to go for Morata, a player who that you know you're good for, a substitute goal. That's what you're going to get from him. So I feel like that will in the end hurt them against teams that are better, as Jomar said.
Yeah, and you speak about Spain's experience. You talk about their goalkeeper, you talk about their back line, having only one central midfielder who's been there and done that. Their attacking line is very inexperienced, as well as compared to a Brazil team who has players in very important positions in all 3 areas of the field, all 4 areas of the field, that has been there and that has already done that, which is why I think not talent but inexperience will be the demise of, or will lead to the demise of this Spanish team.
You look like you disagree, Simon.
No, I'm looking at Jeff because Jeff is a Spanish fan, so so that's the reason why I was like, whoa. But let's see if he'll be screaming today or he'll be crying today.
He didn't like those takes a while ago, I can tell that.
Well, he didn't like it at all. But we'll see.
Spain will win today. Spain will win today. And I think Spain will make light work of their opposition. I think it went 2-0, but...
And play Belgium around 16.
And they'll no, Belgium.
Yeah,
and I was like, not Belgium. But they'll win in the round of 16 and they'll vote gracefully, I think, to Brazil. Wow.
Yeah.
One season though, next 4 years, I think Spain will be the powerhouses of world football. I guarantee.
Or Euro 2024.
Yeah.
The next 2 to 4 years, my money is on Spain.
Yeah, their future is definitely brighter than their present. And I don't think Jeff should get upset. I don't think he should get any bit disappointed at what is happening now. I think he has 2 more days of celebration left. I think they'll win this game, and then in the round of 16 they'll get that one. But I feel like the next World Cup, man, he'll be celebrating. And on the 876 stream, he'll be here and bringing the trophies and wearing the jerseys. So Jeff, look forward.
Yeah.
But don't look now.
Don't look now.
Close your eyes right now and look forward to the future.
Yeah, Jeff. Remember the tweet you did last year? Your heart clean, so the time must forward, right?
Eventually.
It will come.
It will come. Yeah, big up to the guys from This or That Sports TV, Jomar and Rush, for coming this morning to preview the games. Really, really appreciate it, guys. And thank you all for tuning in as well. Don't forget to join us again at 1 o'clock, where we recap the games from the 10 a.m. fixtures. And look ahead to the fixtures at 2 o'clock, the Germany-Costa Rica encounter and Spain against Japan. Until next time, until 1 o'clock, join us then, and we'll be back with so much more, guys. Take care and enjoy the games.
Stream. Bless up.